did the frustrated cannibal do?
Lay it on me.
He threw up his hands.
Give me it. I want to go. Okay.
I think we are at a point in The Last of Us where going off track from the main story is less of a surprise and more of a part of how the show is put together. Episode 3, which was about Bill and Frank, really surprised most viewers. Episode 5 took us inside Henry and Sam's story, which showed us a lot about their character. And now episode 7, called Left Behind, takes us back in time to take a key moment in Ellie's life, where we realize that the life of Ellie before getting to Joel was quite different from what we assumed. We meet an important person from her past just as she faces a possible breaking point with an important person in her present. And sometimes the energy we exert in life, when positive, could fuel our anger or rage. Making the right choice should not be imposed upon us, but a responsibility. This is something that I learned in The Last of Us episode 7 and has taught me this week. I don't know about you. What has episode 7 of The Last of Us taught you this week? Drop your comment down in the section. Welcome to the Scenes Hub, and today we'll be giving a full recap, review, and my opinion on The Last of Us season 1 episode 7. The life of Ellie led in the quarantine zone was unremarkable, as we can see. Many kids were happy to just have a safe place to live and take advantage of Fedra's career opportunities. And I think this is what most people really have wanted following such a disaster in our world now. Infected all over the place. What would you want to do? Just be at a safe place. But that wasn't good enough for Ellie and Riley. And it explains why Riley left and why Ellie was so irritated even in this safe haven. Many compelling arguments were presented by Riley in favor of Ellie joining the Fireflies, but it was fascinating to see how her opinion shifted over the course of an hour. She had previously been opposed to them, but now she could see why her friend would choose that unusual way of life. I mean, to be fair, Ellie had feelings about what Riley was doing. After all, Fedra had also tried to convince the kids that the Fireflies are actually the most craziest and worst people on the planet. At the start of the episode, we see a lot of blood in the snow and inside the house where Ellie took Joel, who is really having a hard time, and grabs Ellie and tells her to go far to the north to find Tommy. Ellie doesn't want to leave him, of course, but she does. Next, we see Ellie jogging around the gym with headphones on until a girl takes them off. Then Captain Cone tells her what will happen if she keeps going in that direction. So it was a quick flashback where we saw Ellie, with Fedra and what she was up to. Now, Joel telling Ellie to leave wasn't the fact that Joel was going to die, but he couldn't see himself surviving very well. And as a matter of fact, he wanted Ellie to be safe. He was in pain, and all that he wanted to do was to protect Ellie and let Ellie be in safe hands. But Ellie actually doesn't leave Joel. He leaves the premises, but then he comes back later on. So back to Ellie and Riley. Riley sneaks into her room in the middle of the night. Ellie almost stabs her. Riley had been missing for weeks, and Ellie missed her because they were best friends, and Riley would protect her from bullies at the site. So after she gets over the first shock, Riley tells her that she has joined the Fireflies. Then she tells her that she wants to take her out and have the best night of their lives together before she, moves out of town. Even after saying no, Riley makes her get dressed. But let's start over. Who is Riley in The Last of Us game? So Riley does appear in The Last of Us game, and Riley was raised in Boston as a child without parents. She was also an orphan, as we know. In the quarantine zone, Riley and Ellie met each other. They got along right away and became best friends. Riley would always protect Ellie from the camp bullies when she was in the quarantine zone. And this was because Ellie was a new kid in town. So Riley takes Ellie to the mall by sneaking her out of, her room. Riley turned on the light, just wanted to show things to her at the mall. Ellie thought the mall was closed, but to her surprise, everything was working perfectly fine. It's just that who wants to be at the mall at this moment in this kind of world we live in now? So Riley shows everything to Ellie, from the escalator to the, the shops. She had really a good impression, and Riley asked Ellie why she had left, and she was just worked out about why she chose to work at the sewage, and that was what Mr. Kwan made her do, and she wasn't happy about it. She wanted to do more. So the episode goes on when Ellie starts to look around after Riley gives her a gift. She sees equipment everywhere. When we talk to her about it, we find out that Riley's post, but she says she won't let them hurt her. And that is when Riley realized she cannot just leave Ellie alone. Ellie couldn't also stay away from Riley, but whatever had to happen must happen. So Riley tells her that it's important to join the Fireflies. They could protect her, but unfortunately, Ellie was not buying that idea. Ellie didn't think that was a good way to end things, so she went back to see Riley. And this was after their banter and argument about why Riley decided to join the Fireflies trying to bomb soldiers. After they had a moment to get to know each other, Riley and Ellie wore a Halloween mask, danced together to enjoy themselves, but Ellie started to feel sad and asked her not to leave. And just after a short moment, there's a kiss on Riley's lip. Ellie kisses her. You see, the TV show just announced something to us, and it's telling us a big story, the love story of Ellie and Riley, and even how Ellie's love story is going to develop later on in the TV show. And that was what we saw in episode 3-4 about Bill and Frank. I don't know how many people were expecting this episode, but it was not really boring, but more of a recap to understand the story of Riley and the story of Ellie. But here is my opinion. When the TV show was first announced, one of my biggest worries was that it would be too true to be like the book. In many ways, yes, but the fact that we know a lot more about the characters past makes it worth it. There have been some changes, and I expect there will be more before the session is over. But I wouldn't hate that the show take more chances. Seeing how close Ellie and Riley are was a nice change of pace, but the backstory felt like it should have come earlier in the season. We should spend all of our time in the present because we are getting close to the end. The fact that the show has been on the road so much so far is a bigger worry about its future. Will that keep happening in the second season, or will Joel and Ellie find a place to live? What do you think of the way HBO retold Left Behind? Do you think the story was well told in the movie, in the game? We don't know yet, but in the movie it's HBO, in the game it's a different production. I mean, what do you think about the fact that Ellie and Riley had the best day ever, but at the end it all went wrong? Do you think that this story should have happened earlier in the season, or they should have given us a recap in all the other episodes? Drop your comments in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video. We'll see you in our next upload.